Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the USA Powerlifting Odyssey Barbell Club Classic 2023. Kicking off here with a morning session of lifting for you, and then we'll have the afternoon after a great day of lifting yesterday. Who have we got up first? I'm joined here by Skip.
We got Martin Rowley coming to the platform for a 142.5 kilogram squat.
Awesome, man. And what are we looking for on the squat today?
So we're looking for his knees to start once he's completely settled after unracking the bar to be locked out. Once he gives that locked out position, the ref is going to give him the down command, and then he's going to hit depth, which he looked like he did to me. And then he's going to get a rack command to bring it into the rack. And it looked pretty good. 3 white lights from the judges.
And what are we looking for in terms of lights from the judges here?
So we want to see at least 2 white lights. And we're always looking for 3. 3 white lights means all 3 judges saw no technical infractions on your lift.
Awesome.
Next up, we got Colin Pham. He's taking a 147.5 kilogram squat.
Cool. And typically we'll refer to these first attempts as your squat opener. What's the importance of getting that opener on the board?
Yeah, so the opener puts you in the meet. So this is the first lift of the day, the first event of the day. So once you get that first squat in, you are officially on the board, and you can continue knowing that.
Awesome. And so all of these lifters are looking for at least 1 good squat, 1 good bench, and 1 good deadlift attempt from the 3 disciplines today. Adding those together will give them their total. You need to have 1 good of each in order to put together a total. If you don't make any squat attempts, you can still progress, and you'll be able to continue to the bench and the deadlift if you wish to. What we're hoping is that everyone makes these first lifts.
Yep.
They should be lifts that they're comfortable with.
Speedy lift there for Colin.
Yeah,
3 white
absolutely.
lights.
That was nice.
Yep.
How do you normally choose your squat opener?
I typically go based on my last kind of squat of prep that's heavy but not my heaviest.
Absolutely.
So I typically take around a little bit more than my last warm-up that I take in the back room, probably around 10 pounds to 15 pounds more. We got Kenny's Tejada coming up now. He's taking 152.5.
Awesome. That looked really comfortable. And pretty high bar position as well there, right?
Very high bar. And he's also not using any wrist wraps, not using any knee sleeves. You'll notice that a lot of lifters will use all of that gear, but it is not a requirement by any means.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got Alex de Almeida Jr. He's taking a 160 kilogram squat.
Awesome. So around 350 pounds there. It's interesting, we started off the flight with basically, I think it was 142.5 kilos.
Yep.
So really right around that 3-plate mark is 314 pounds. So these guys all starting around what would be a pretty milestone lift for a lot of guys just in a regular gym.
Absolutely. Like to see that, giving the spotters a little fist bump before he gets started.
Yep, just showing some appreciation for all these volunteers who are doing a lot of work today and yesterday as well.
Yes.
This team has been really, really good. I see a lot of platform crews. They've been working really efficiently and really well together, so that's been impressive.
Definitely. Pretty good looking squat. Now, that's a pretty close hand position there on that setup, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
perfectly fine. You can have your hands anywhere between the outside rings. Ooh.
So what we've seen there, 2 red
1.
lights for depth. So unfortunately, he's missed that attempt. What the referees have thought there is that they haven't seen the hip crease go below the top of the knee surface. So he'll have another chance to come back. He can either decide to do the same weight again or go higher if he feels that he can bury that a little bit more with a higher weight potentially. But who's our next lifter here?
We got Jun Ho Yoon. And yeah, again, with all 3 disciplines, you get 3 attempts. So missing that first one isn't the end of the meet. Juno's taking 165 here. Let's see. Another rather high bar position.
Yep, and as you said again, previously, he's got a close position with his hands there. A lot of shoulder mobility in order to sort of keep the bar.
Yes. 3 white lights there. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Willie Biddings is coming up next with 172.5. Getting close to that 400-pound mark now.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'll be building himself up attempt by attempt to hit that number today.
Yes. See it, Willie.
It's nice there. He slightly clipped the rack on the way out. 3 white lights,
Three
good
lights,
lift.
pretty good.
Slightly clipped the rack on the way out, but kept his composure, settled with the weight, and no issue.
Absolutely. Sean Lotch is coming out next with 165 or 175.
Sean then Brady. Sean has 386 pounds on the bar. Bar is ready for Sean.
Now you can see him adjusting his belt on the platform. One of the only items of equipment you are allowed to adjust on the platform is your belt. You can secure that lever if you wish to.
Mm-hmm. Another wrist wrapless. You don't need them.
No.
Three white lights. Awesome job, Sean.
Now, it looked good. It's maybe a little bit slower than you might see for most people's openers, but we don't know these lifters well enough to say, maybe these are lifters who always squat slow or they always squat fast. And sometimes speed can be deceiving as well, right? You can see someone who moves with weight incredibly quickly and then it'll just drop off for the next one. And whereas other lifters, looks like they start slow, but every rep looks about the same after that, right?
I agree. Yeah. Brady's coming up now. He's going to be our first squatter going past that 400 kilo mark at 185. That's 408 pounds. Getting settled.
Really deep.
Yeah.
Lots of stretch reflex there.
Mm-hmm. Three white lights. Awesome lift, Brady. Cameron Doyle's coming out to take the same weight, 185.
Cameron, 407 pounds, then blue.
You can see his handler there taking out his earphones. You can wear those obviously while you're waiting to go, but you can't wear them on the platform. Thankfully, this meet's got pretty good music, but there have definitely been some competitions I've been to where the music isn't quite as good, and you might wish to use your own earphones, but we're all good here. It's great production value from Eric Lapointe and the whole team.
Absolutely. Eric's put on a phenomenal meet here. Let's see you, Cam. Turning his feet out to get set. Pretty fast, I want to see.
Yeah, let's see those lights.
One
Blue.
blue.
No, not
okay.
sure what the blue was going to be for. I think we were both thinking the same. It was possible. It was difficult to tell from the front there. It looks like the guy has some pretty large legs,
Yeah.
so it can sometimes
So
be difficult
that
to
may
see
be in
that.
question, definitely. Luke Chiodo is coming out next to take 195.
Showing some energy immediately on that first attempt. Often see people's energy levels ramp up from attempt to attempt.
Pretty good speed, three white lights. Awesome job, Luke. Jose Duran is coming out now to take 230 kilos. Pete, is that 500 pounds?
It is over that 500-pound mark, yeah, absolutely. As soon as we hit that 227.5, we're over the 500 point, which again, another big milestone.
Let's see it, Jose.
Opening up with 230 kilos.
Looking pretty intense there. And you can see that Jose already on his openers is forecasted in 4th position for our men overall. We will have another session tonight as well, but these guys will be looking to put up the totals that will put them in the best position to defend themselves later in the day.
Yes, so.
But looking pretty damn strong. If he's already off his openers forecasted in 4th,
Exactly, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
he'll be vying for that number 1 position, I'm sure. Should he be making his attempts, and obviously that's what we want to see. We want to see lifters go 9 for 9, meaning they'll make 9 out of their 9 attempts on the day, building in weight from attempt to attempt. What's interesting here, we can see that Jose's opted to have one of the uprights in on the rack, so you can see that that right upright, as we're looking at the screen, is leant in, and the left one's completely upright. What's the advantage of that?
So I'm actually unaware, personally, of that advantage.
Okay,
so
absolutely.
I'm looking for you.
No
to tell me
no
about
worries.
it.
So this is a bit of an elite move. You'll sometimes see lifters put in both, But when you put in one, it can be really useful. You see where he unracks there?
Yeah.
You can see with the leg he's unracked with, that's where he's paired it up so that he's not going to clip it on the way out. It's a real pro move that you don't see too many people know, which makes me think that either Jose or his handler or both are veterans here.
Yes. And with that descent in that squat, he looks very strong and very composed in that
Super
lift.
controlled.
Three white lights.
Yeah.
Incredible job, Jose.
Sometimes you see people put in big openers, and you see something like that where he's nominated in fourth effectively off openers, and you think, is this a guy who's really ambitious and maybe doesn't know? But based off that attempt, based off that upright being in, I think this guy's a very legitimate contender. So this is looking fun. So we're back for our second attempts then, right?
Yeah, back to Martin at the top. We got 147.5 on the bar.
So it's a 5 kilo jump. I think that's pretty much what we'd expect in this sort of weight range, right?
Yep, I would say that's a very standard jump around there. Now, of course, as we get into bigger weight classes, those jumps do become bigger for the most part. But at these weights, you would see, I would say, between 5 and maybe some ambitious people will jump 20 at times.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, that's one of those things that's going to be very individual to the lifter, kind of the style that you train, how you train in the gym, what you're comfortable with moving from weight to a weight, and also what your objectives are for the day. That's one thing that we won't know in the commentary booth. What are these guys looking for? Are they looking to qualify for a nationals? Are they looking to PR? Is there some milestone that's really significant to them? They're all going to have their own objectives today, and they'll be building towards those in their own way.
Martin gets another 3 white lights there. That's 6 white lights for him on the day. Colin Pham's coming out now with 157.5, so he's taking a 10 kilo jump, again in that range that I talked about for these guys that we'll probably be seeing, especially on squat and deadlift jumps. Bench is a little different for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, bench we tend to see, but not always, lifters using lower loads than their squat and deadlift, and therefore if you're taking sort of similar jumps in a percentage terms, it's going to be lower amounts of kilos as well.
Absolutely. Let's see, Colin. See what the judges say. 3 white lights.
Absolutely. It was a very fast descent there, but really controlled. Hit his positions. There's no reason to go slow if you don't need to.
No.
So Alex, on his last attempt, I think we saw a depth call. So what's he coming out for here?
He's coming out for the same weight, 160. The conservative call, definitely, but it's probably the right call. You know, he wants to get on the board, get that first squat in, and probably build some confidence to make the proper jump for him to, you know, improve his total on that third lift.
Absolutely.
Let's see it, Alex. Come on.
We see Alex is repping Cambridge Strength here, which is another local gym in the area.
Yes. That one looked a little better to me.
Yeah, me too.
Let's
see.
see.
The judges agree. They
do.
do. Fantastic. Both
3
those
white
side,
lights.
both those side reps were convinced that time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the same. I didn't want to give him that commentary curse, but no, it looked a lot stronger.
Okay, Kenny's is coming out here with 170, so 17.5 kilos up from his first attempt.
Now, I want to say that his first attempt looked really easy.
It did. It really did. And now he's going no wrist wraps, no knee sleeves.
And that very high bar position, if I recall.
Yes.
So a pretty raw squatter in
Absolutely.
one sense of the word.
Yes. Insanely deep.
That
3
was,
white lights.
that was impressive.
Yeah,
Looks happy about it. I think there's still some more room in the tank there.
definitely.
His handler looks happy as well.
Juno is coming out now with 175 on the bar. 10 kilo jump.
Squad is ready. Junho Yu.
Taking his time with his setup. You get a full minute from when the bar is loaded, so he can take that full minute if he wants to get the first command. Awesome. 3 wet lights.
It was a little stickier, but it didn't slow down too much at any point. It looked fairly controlled. What these lifters are going to know is where they're going to struggle on each lift, right? Like some people are going to struggle what we would call right out the hole, right at the bottom as they come up. Some people are a little bit higher, and they're going to know sort of and be prepared for where they're going to need to fight, right?
Absolutely. Willie's going to take that same weight, 175. Now this is a 2 kilo jump for him from his last attempt.
Yeah, so that's the minimum increase, that 2.5 kilos. So interesting to know what's going through his head and what the game plan is here. Okay.
Seemed like a pretty good call.
Yeah, that was one.
3 white lights.
Yep.
Really worked.
Definitely had a bit more of a sticking point there than the last lift, so I think he knows himself pretty well.
I'd
Pretty good
agree.
call.
What I was worried about is that if you don't submit an attempt within the minute,
Yes.
that you automatically get increased by the minimum amount, which in this case would be 2.5 kilos. So I was a little concerned there that may have happened, because that can happen to a lifter, and you sort of lose an attempt, and you've only got 9 attempts.
Yes.
But no, I think you're right. That looked like an intentional pick. It looked nice.
Yes. We got Sean coming out to take 182.5, which is just over the 400 barrier at 402.
Okay.
Yeah. Good job finishing that lift. The belt came undone.
Yeah, it looked like his
Little bit
thigh
there.
made contact with the buckle
Gotcha.
and unbuckled it.
Gotcha. 3 white lights still. Great lift. Brady's coming out now to take 195. That's a 10 kilo jump from his opening attempt, which he got
9 pounds.
green lighted.
Really deep.
And very fast on that descent. As you said, no requirement for the eccentric time, but you know, you'll see some lifters go down in a very controlled fashion. Some will kind of go down much faster. He definitely gets a very good rebound effect at the bottom there. Cameron Doyle is coming out now with 197.5. 12.5 kilo jump from his opening attempt of 185.
All right, audience, try to stay off Wi-Fi.
Nice.
Fast squat.
Cameron's lift is
3
good.
white lights.
Audience, try to stay off the Wi-Fi if you can. It's a limited bandwidth and it's interrupting the music. Try to stay off Wi-Fi if you can. Luke, 463 pounds men.
Luke's coming out now for 210 kilos, a 15 kilo jump from his opening attempt.
Starting to pace a little bit more. You can see that energy rising now, right? From
Yep.
attempt to attempt, you want to sort of control yourself and increase that hype and aggression if you're that kind of lifter. And it looks like Luke is going to be one of those kinds of lifter.
See you, Luke. Come on.
Very controlled.
Awesome. 3 white lights.
It was good.
Jose's coming out now for a 242.5 kilo squat. Now, when he came up last time, he was forecasted at 4th. Hitting that first attempt already moved him up to 3rd.
Absolutely. He should be putting up something big for later.
Yes. They're definitely going to have something to compete with in the afternoon there.
Absolutely. Which will be a really exciting session lifting as well. We've got some really good lifters in there.
Yeah, definitely excited to see a lot of fellow Odyssey competitors in that session, as well as some competitors around Massachusetts and New Hampshire that are great as well.
Awesome. No, it's nice how a meet like this will really bring out a lot of people from the Northeast New England area.
Yes. See it, Jose.
242.5 kilos.
So you've got the 5 spotters out there now for this weight.
Yes. Now, what is the weight that becomes into play, or is it relatively variable?
Oh, it's a good depth on that. It's at the discretion of the meet director, honestly. I believe that at this meet they're saying 500 pounds.
Yep, makes sense.
We got 3 whites there.
Three
Looks like
whites,
one referee changed their light, may have mistapped
Gotcha.
what they wanted, but it was a 3 white light lift. They've just corrected that very quickly.
Yes. Into third round squats now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Martin's going to take 155 for his third attempt to start us off.
But no, I've certainly seen a lot of meet directors change or have different policies for when they want to have 5 spotters on the platform. Some you'll hear them say it's going to be 225, which is 4 reds and a collar, which is 496 pounds. Some people will say 500 pounds flat, so that's 227.5 or more. I've even seen it done for 400 pounds and above. So I think it really depends on how much you trust your platform crew. There have certainly been some very, very veteran platform crews that I've seen handle weights in excess of 700 pounds with just 3 spotters.
Yes.
But it's about making sure that the platform crew is working safely and that we know that lifter safety is prioritized. It can make things a little bit harder for refs.
Definitely a little bit harder for refs, but, you know, at the end of the day, the safety of the lifters and the spotters is definitely first and foremost.
Absolutely.
3 white lights there for Martin's third attempt, and that puts him 3 for 3 going into bench.
And he looked really happy about that as well.
Very.
See some excitement there. So presumably that was a big lift for him.
Yep. Colin Pham is coming out now for a 170 kilo squat. Looking very composed as he comes up to the platform. As we talked about with one of the other lifters, there's different ways that you may see a lifter approach the platform. Some may be more calm, composed, and some may try to hype themselves up and get a little more amped up and antsy beforehand. See it, Colin. Good speed, 3 white lights.
Yeah, people seem to be making pretty good attempts here
Yeah.
on the whole. We've seen one person struggle with depth so far, I believe. But
yeah,
otherwise...
but he got it, and that's Alex coming out now. So, and he's taking a nice big jump. As I said, I thought that I might see this after missing the first, but getting the second pretty convincingly. He's now taking a 17.5 kilo jump to 177.5.
Yeah, it leaves yourself in an interesting position here, right? Because do you go for your planned second? Do you go for your planned third? Often we'll see lifters go for something a little bit in between that. So we don't quite know what number he had planned for the day, but...
Yeah, maybe he was thinking 180, 10 kilo jumps, you know, but who knows. This looks like, or this would be the attempt that I would make in his shoes. Let's see it, Alex. Come on. Looks good to me. We are in the front, though, so I'm going to...
No, that looks
Very
the
good.
same as the second. I just didn't
Very
want to
good.
jinx it.
Yep. Very good there. So 2 of 3 for Alex there. Juno's coming out to take 402, 182.5 for his third and final attempt.
Lifters are now picking their own music. For third round attempts, they get their own songs. I recognize that this is some kind of anime song, so hopefully it's hyping him up, but I couldn't tell you what. This is one of those things where at USA Powerlifting Nationals last year in Las Vegas, we had a lot of junior lifters picking their own music, and there were 5 lifters back-to-back who chose Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I do remember that. 3 white lights there.
That looked like an easy third attempt to me, but again, one of the things we talked about with velocity drop-off, right? You don't know quite where people are going to struggle beyond that.
Definitely.
But to me, that looked like an easy third. I would think that going into your next training cycle, planning for your next meet, you're feeling pretty confident at that point.
Yes. Kenny's is coming out now for 182.5 as well. Yeah, and you also don't know if the lifters are, you know, maybe saving a little more energy for deadlifts or
That's
anything
absolutely,
like
that's a very
that.
good point. Very good point. Some people are going to have a little different sort of response and recovery time during the meet itself. They should expect the meet to be between sort of 3 and 4 hours if it's running smoothly.
Yes.
And you might want to save your back a little bit, for example.
Get up, get up, get up.
That's an awesome squat.
Yeah, a little bit of a fight, but he got it up. Looked good to me. 3 white lights. The judges agree.
I'd say that was great selection by Kenny's there.
Definitely. Sean's coming out for 185. This is a 2 kilo jump, so I'll be interested to see how it looks. Do you remember what it looked like last time? Is this maybe a strategic jump, or do you think he may have gotten the attempt in a little late?
I think this is the right call based on how that second moved. But it's one of those things. It's a third attempt. You've got a bit of a, not to say a break, but you've got a different movement with bench next, right?
Definitely.
You can sometimes find a little bit more fire, and sometimes you see those thirds move better than those second attempts.
Yes.
I'd love to see that here for Sean.
Let's see it, Sean. Come on.
Again, he's got his own song on here as well, which might fire him up a little bit more.
Flip the rack a little bit on the way up, but the squat itself, oh.
So, yep, I would say that's the right call. And the reason I'll say that's the right call is it means he got every kilo he could on the day.
Yes, absolutely.
So he failed the 185, but got the 182.5. The minimum jump is 2.5, which means he got every kilo he could have received towards his total.
Yes, great job there. Willie is coming out now for 190 on the bar. This is a 15 kilo jump.
Now, Willie's gone 2.5 and then 15, and I think that may have worked out for him.
Yes.
I'm now thinking that maybe he did time out for that 2.5 second attempt change.
He could have.
2.5 second, 2.5 kilo attempt change.
No, he went 2 to 1 there. The right side had a depth, that he did not hit depth. But 2 whites is all you need, so he got the lift. Brady's coming out now with 205 on the bar.
It's one of those things as well. Sometimes a ref will see depth from one side and the other side referee won't see depth.
Yes.
A lot of these lifters, like a lot of humans, will have a slight asymmetry and one hip may ride higher than the other, which means that from their vantage point, both side referees are correct.
Absolutely,
Like
yes.
they are both calling the correct thing.
And that's ultimately why we have 3 judges, so that third judge can make that final call from what they say.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Fantastic spotting and loading there, keeping
Great
that lift,
catch.
keeping Brady safe.
Great catch, and great job by Brady to stay with the bar. You know, you're not allowed to drop the bar intentionally. You will get DQ'd if you do that. So, good job by Brady there, and the spotters and loaders. Cameron's coming out now for his third attempt of 207.5.
Can sometimes be difficult being a lifter following a missed attempt. It can sometimes sort of shake you up a little bit. So we're looking for Cameron to keep his composure here, keep his focus on what his job is to do, and to forget what he's just seen to some extent.
Yes.
I don't know about yourself, Skip, but personally, it's difficult for me to see a miss and then come out and feel sometimes as confident.
Definitely. I try personally to actually stay behind the curtain until that lifter before me is done, so that I don't know exactly what happened.
That's probably a smart play there.
Yes.
Good move by Cameron there. That looked nice. Yep.
3 whites. Awesome job, Cam.
Yeah, the refs agree.
That looked like a pretty good attempt selection as well.
I agree. And you can take different degrees of risks here, right? You can go for something that you know might not be there, or you can go for something you'll very confidently hit, and you'll know you'll have that towards your total. Again, that'll depend on what the lifter's priorities are for the day. For example, if there's a national qualifying total that one of these lifters is aiming for, they may have to extend a little bit and accept, look, this may be a 6 for 9 day, not a 9 for 9 day if things don't go to plan.
Now, we've seen Luke hype up his energy every time he's come to the platform. I love to see it. He's taking 220 right now, just under that 500 kilo or 500 pound mark.
Absolutely. Yep, 484, I believe.
Yep. Up. Nice call there, Luke. 3 white lights.
And his handler's excited as well, sharing that excitement, which is always nice on a day to have someone there sort of in your corner helping you out, and they're as excited and enthused as you are.
Absolutely.
So this should be our last squat of the flight, right?
Yep, Jose's coming out. If he gets this squat, he'll be forecasted now in second, so he's jumped up 2 places technically during this flight with just on his squat attempts alone.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I'm presuming from his forecasted spot there that his bench and deadlift are pretty strong as well.
I would assume so as well.
Let's see him get this, and I just want to see what total he can build. He's at a slight disadvantage here by not being included in the Sunday prime time. He has to put up a total to try and fend off anybody else coming. They'll know what they need to do to beat him. But it does mean there's not as much of a head-to-head battle for Jose here. And he can just kind of focus on himself and build that without having to worry about any gamesmanship.
Absolutely. Up. Fight through it. Looks good.
Yes.
3 white lights. Awesome job, Jose. That was a great fight there.
And he's excited about it. So we're going to go into our second flight of lifters and our second and last flight for the morning, right?
Correct. So now we're starting again with first attempts. So 147.5 for Paul Hammerstrom is going to be on the bar.
Ciara announced Gino there.
Yes.
Making sure all the lifters are introduced to the crowd and hyped up throughout the day. We always appreciate him flying out from New Jersey for this.
Yes, Gino's phenomenal. We're blessed every time that he comes to one of these Odyssey meets. I've had him call several of my meets, so
It's awesome.
It's always great. Let's see it, Paul. A little bit of a clip there.
But he settles. You can see him looking for that chief ref there to make sure he's got the commands.
Yes.
Waits for all of those commands.
2-1.
Now, I wasn't necessarily too surprised by that. It looked like his squat might be riding slightly high, but he knows now he's basically received a warning effectively,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, exactly.
It's not a literal warning, but it's an effective sort of heads up. You got to make sure you bury these.
Yes. Now we got Cameron DiCarlo coming out for 150.
330 pounds, I believe. Cameron seems to be one of our taller lifters.
Yep.
Rack height, is that 16, I believe?
A little bit of a pause there.
Yeah, nice rep. Yeah, I can say a little bit from experience here, but when you get up to those higher rack heights, those higher uprights, what will happen is the rack starts to get a little shakier because it's a lot more extended from the ground, which can make it harder to wedge under the rack. It makes things oscillate a little bit more, harder to control. So that's something that Cameron will be needing to deal with when some of his competitors won't have that same challenge.
Absolutely. Max is coming out now for 165 on the bar. Now, Pete, what's your rack height at? You're a pretty tall dude yourself.
It's around this, so it looks like Maxwell's at 20 here. I tend to take somewhere between that and 21, 22.
Gotcha. Now, is that depending on the specific competition rack that you're using, or?
No, even just for this rogue rack. So there'll be a lot of factors that will affect the rack heights that you want to set. Absolutely, well done, Maxwell. So a lot of factors that will affect that. You know, are you someone who lifts with a high bar or low bar position? Are you someone who picks up the weight at a slightly different angle with your back? Are you wearing a heeled shoe or a flat shoe? How wide is your stance width? All of those things. So over time, even for the same lifter at the same height, those upright settings might change even on the same rack, which is why we always recommend, that as all these lifters have done, they go and confirm and check their squat and bench heights at the start of the meet.
Yes.
Because these things do change over time, and you may not notice them, you know, from session to session in the gym. I know a lot of people will just write down their heights, and they may have changed by next time.
Yeah. Andrew Salient is now on the platform, taking 165 for his first attempt. Very speedy first attempt there. 3 wet legs. Nicholas is coming out now for 180 kilos. Just under 400 pounds. 396, I believe.
That's right. I'm pretty sure. It's funny how the way that powerlifters do this is we always round down, right?
Yes.
We never round up a weight, even if it's.
Yes.
But when we convert to pounds, we never give it to them.
No.
It's a weird convention we have. Pounds always get rounded down. Economical on depth, but I think he has it. I am going to call, yep, perfect. I think he nailed that. I think he didn't have any extra wasted effort there. You could tell it was a controlled descent. He's not dive bombing for a stretch reflex. So in that case, no point going any lower than you need to if you've got that style of squat. Really economical. Looked precise.
Definitely. Alexander's coming out now. He's taking the same weight, 180 kilos. Now, a lot of these guys actually have a pretty tall rack height. So these are our I believe, relatively our top weight class lifters.
Absolutely, yeah. These are definitely our heavier lifters. And
Yep.
what you tend to see on average is that the heavier the weight class, the taller the lifter.
Definitely.
Again, there was a correction there on one of the lights, but he did get three white lights. You tend to see on average that the taller the lifter, the larger the weight class they'll inhabit. It's not always a rule. And for very, very elite lifters, sometimes not a trend you see at all. At some point, I mean, if you look at sort of the, again, from USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals data, a lot of the lifters across the classes, until you get to around sort of the these days it's now the 110 class, used to be the 120, are all around the same height regardless of the weight class. They're just wider.
Gotcha. Giuliano's on the platform now, taking 190 for his first attempt, and wow, that was a fast squat.
That looked to me like he's warming up on the platform. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, that looked like he should have taken that maybe in the back room 2 sets before his last warm-up.
Absolutely. No, that one flew. There was a lot of energy. It was almost a pop at the top there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see that. The bar will almost pop at the top as they're coming so explosively out of the hole.
Absolutely. Ted Diaz is now coming out with 197.5 on the bar, and he's got some fans in the crowd. I can hear him.
And I believe this is Ted's first meet.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, we can hear some roars for him, even on his opener.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice to have that support.
No, yeah. I remember my first meet, and that definitely was one of the best parts, just having all that support. And it's lasted ever since.
No, it's really cool here, seeing a lot of lifters from around the local area who've got people who can come and sort of show out and support,
Yes.
whether they're either members of Odyssey Barbell Club, the gym themselves, or from other gyms in the area.
Absolutely. 3 highlights there for Ted. Very good squat there. Jordy's coming out now. He's taking 230 for his first attempt.
So starting above that 500-pound mark.
Bars ready for Jordy. 230 kilos for Jordy.
Again, you're seeing a lot of those lifters look for the chief ref to visually see that command.
Ooh, a little bit of a stick in the middle there.
don't know that bar went-
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think the bar went down.
We got one for the up and down there.
No,
Or
that's a yellow card.
no, that's
Blue
that.
would be up
Yes,
and down.
You're right.
So
yes.
yellow could be foot movement or something of that nature.
Okay.
I believe, but I could be wrong here, it could also be the bar changing position on the back by
Gotcha.
more than a certain amount. But unfortunately for us, the yellow card can convey a lot of
Yes.
things. It's much worse on bench, where depending on how you count it, a yellow card on bench could mean 9 to 12 different things.
Yes.
So what a lot of lifters can do is go and speak to that referee they got a light from immediately. They're not going to remember if you ask them later.
No, you have to go right after you leave the platform.
Confirm what went wrong and look to see if you can change it.
Absolutely. Now Sam's out here taking 245 for his first attempt. And it moves very well. Let's see what the judges say. 3 white lights. That's what I thought. Very good looking opening attempt.
Yeah, I think he's setting up for something big there. And we're back to our second round, so our first lifters.
Yep. So Cameron DiCarlo is now leading off the fight. I believe he was second in the first round. So
someone's taking a big jump.
Yes, exactly. So the bar always starts with the lightest weight for the flight, and goes up from there for the entire round.
Yeah, absolutely. This is called the rounds system in powerlifting, where everyone takes their first, then everyone takes their second, then everyone takes their third. We didn't used to have the round system in powerlifting. We used to have the loaded bar, which is a system you still see in weightlifting now, where the bar just increases in weight, and you kind of jump in when you want to take an attempt.
Yes. And now, Pete, when did that change occur? Also a very good-looking squat there by Cam.
Yeah, that was nice control. I'm not going to be precise on this. I want to say it happened in the 90s in most federations, but it's one of those things that sort of changed over time. But when you look at some of those older records, and you sort of have to read forward into history, you'll have to remember that some of those lifters who set some big numbers in, say, the 70s or the 80s, were actually following themselves on squat or bench or deadlift.
Gotcha.
So they had far less rest time, which changed the dynamics of the sport a lot. I quite like how we have the system set up now, where in USA powerlifting, you're now allowed, I believe, between 8 and 15 is the new number, used to be 14, lifters in a single flight.
Correct.
Which means that you can expect 8 to 15 minutes of rest or thereabouts.
Yes.
Maybe there'll be a relift or something.
Paul had a great lift there. I just wanted to say that 162.5, a pretty big jump, 15 kilos, and he got 3 whites on it.
That was nice. And also, 3 whites this time. Last time, I believe he got 1 red on depth.
I believe you're right, yes.
So he's obviously convinced the referee there, which is nice to see. But yeah, it's one of those things where when you try and look back through the history books in powerlifting, sometimes those variables change, and the score sheet doesn't always reflect that, right? And it can go in the other direction as well. Sometimes the rules can get stricter, or the standard of refereeing can get stricter. So when we try and compare things historically, sometimes it's a little bit more challenging to do so. I'm a big fan of powerlifting history, as I think you know, Skip.
Yes,
So
yes. That's why I asked. I figured you would have an answer.
Yeah.
Andrew's taking a very big jump here, but I think it's the right jump, 177.5. His first attempt moved phenomenally well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Great job.
Still plenty of room there to
Yeah.
play with for the third attempt, I think.
I would say he could probably go 187.5 if he wanted to, but I would assume he'd probably go around 185, judging by his other attempts.
Yep. So typically what we tend to see is that people will most often increase by a larger number between their first and second attempt than between their second and third. Very rarely do you see someone take a larger jump between their second and third than between their first and second. There are some elite lifters who'll do that. They'll know their bodies, but they are anomalies.
Absolutely. Now Max is taking a very big jump here, 20 kilos up to 185. Let's see how it moves. Pretty well.
Yep, still some room, but that's a good example. I would say that it's unlikely that Maxwell's going to choose to put another 20 kilos on that.
No, I would say he's probably getting another 5 to 7 in there. Would probably be a good call, maybe 10. Again, we don't know these lifters specifically, but...
Yeah, we're hoping they know themselves,
exactly.
or we're hoping a handler does, right?
Exactly.
And what a lot of these lifters will have is an A or a B plan for their attempts, or maybe even more than that, where, if I'm feeling on, if squat's feeling great, I'm going to stick to those higher numbers for the game plan. If things aren't going quite as well, maybe I'll hit some B attempts.
Absolutely. Nicholas is coming out now for 187.5. This is a 7.5 kilo jump from his first attempt, which he did get. Three white lights once again for Nick.
What I would say is nice is that from this morning's lifting, we've now seen every single lifter get on the board for squat.
Yes,
so
there's no lifter that has been DQ'd.
Right, absolutely. And by DQ, we mean disqualified, obviously, for what we call a bomb out in powerlifting, where they don't make a single attempt on one of the disciplines. So whether that's squat, bench, or deadlift, you need at least one good attempt from each of those to make a total and to have your score sort of be on the board.
Yes.
It's a nasty position to be in when you're facing the risk of bombing out.
Yes. Alexander's out on the platform now, taking 190.
It's still looking like opener territory to me.
Exactly, yeah, that move may be just as fast as the first.
But again, might be one of those sort of high velocity lifters.
Yes. Ted's coming out now for 207.5.
You can see him enjoying those over-ear headphones. His handler's removing those now.
Yep.
Sometimes over-ear headphones, you might not want to use them in the gym all the time, but they make the job a lot easier for handlers who need to remove your headphones than some in-ear devices.
Definitely. Let's see it, Ted.
Again, we're hearing a lot of crowd support for Ted here. See that look of determination on his face.
Looks
He's
good.
happy about it, yeah.
Awesome job there, Ted. Gonna be interested to see what he goes for on his third. Giuliano's coming out now, taking a 20-kilo jump up to 210.
Significant weight, but as we sort of talked about before, once the loads get larger, while the jumps in kilos may look large as a percentage of the weight, it's not necessarily too crazy. I remember his first squat being incredibly explosive.
Yes.
Interested to see if that's something we see maintained. A wide grip width there. Wait for the lights on that one.
Yeah. 2-1.
So there's a yellow light there. Again, it's difficult for us to say exactly what that was for. But looked strong, looked very in control of that weight. It honestly looked light on his back.
Yes.
And that's one of those things sometimes when you take a weight out and you can feel on your back that it feels like you're feeling good about yourself, right?
Yes, absolutely. Jordy's coming out to take 235. This is 5 kilos up from his opening attempt.
518.
Three wet lights. That looked like a pretty good call to me. A little bit slower than his first attempt. Not slow at all, but setting up for something good on his third.
So this is an interesting selection to me. What have we got going on here?
We got Sam going up 15 kilos on this one, 260.
Yeah, that's getting to some serious weight here.
Definitely is. That's 551, correct?
No, 250 would be 551. This is getting into the range where my conversion gets a little worse. I know that 265 is around 584,
Yes,
and that's where I get stuck. It's interesting, right, that we're all kind of like this as lifters. If there's weights that we touch frequently, this is unfortunately somewhere between my squat and my deadlift, so I can't be too accurate.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Nicely
Looked
done.
like a good attempt to me.
Yeah.
Let's see what the judges say. Three wet lights.
What I'm thinking when I see that 260 for a second, I'm thinking that Samuel's setting up for something like a 600-pound squat
That's
for
what I
his
was
third, which would be 272.5 kilos. I think that's around where he's pacing. That could be a number that he's looking for. He may be having some other sort of sets of objectives. Maybe that's not the thing he's looking for today.
Yeah,
But
definitely a
that's-
huge milestone if that's on the board for him.
Totally. But I'll be excited to see what it is that he's after.
Absolutely. Back to the top of the fight now. $170 on the bar for Cameron here. Let's go. Start out third attempt strong.
Ooh. So what we saw there was his left foot just move at the end, and that is a cause for a yellow card. Unfortunately, he's lost that. Very sad to see because he didn't get any red cards as well. We would have seen that from the referees if they saw depth, which is what I was most worried about there.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
But unfortunately, just that little misstep at the end. It's important to keep control of the weight before the rack command. And unfortunately, just missed that. It's one of the worst ways to see someone miss a squat, unfortunately.
Paul's coming out now, 175 on the bar. He went for 162 last time, 147 on his first attempt. So taking some pretty big jumps here, but the last one looked pretty good. So I would want to see the same here.
Yeah.
Let's see it, Paul.
Weight looks comfortable. Oh.
Once again, foot moved, 3
Yeah.
white.
And we
or
also
3
saw a red for
yellows.
depth as well.
Yep.
That's so tough to see. I've not been in that position myself for that specific error, but I've helped a lot of lifters before who've had that happen. It feels gut-wrenching.
Yeah, I've had that happen. My feet sliding on a bench before, but not on a squat.
It's just one of those things. Sometimes you come up so strong, and often in training as well, if you're used to just racking straight afterwards,
Yeah.
you may have that impulse. You can come up so strong from a squat, and it's taken so much mental effort, and then you just take a little misstep, or there's a little stumble, and you want to correct yourself.
Andrew has made every single one of his squats.
That
look
was clean.
Speedy.
That was clean.
190 there. Maxwell's coming out on the platform now for 192.5.
And this is what we talked about. You know, he made a 20-kilo jump between the first and the second, and here's a sort of conventional smaller jump between the second and third. I said that I didn't think there'd be another 20 kilos here, but this looks like a pretty standard strategy for Maxwell here.
Up. Oh, good fight.
And nicely caught by the spotters and loaders, keeping our platform crew keeping lifters safe there.
Now, he did clip the rack on the way out, so sometimes that takes a lot of energy out of the lifter, especially if they're not used to lifting in a comp rack or the specific comp rack. So we don't know if that affected him, but great effort regardless. Alexander is taking 197.5 for his third and final attempt on squat.
Well, I don't know if everyone can notice back home is this is a rogue combo rack, but it's actually a modified rogue combo rack, which has been custom welded, where they've taken some of the width out of the rack to make it easier for lifters to unrack and to avoid clipping quite as much. It is probably my favorite combo rack used at any meet in the United States for that reason.
Yes, it is a very great rack to use, very stable as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It has that power rack feel to it.
Pretty good looking squat to me. 3 white lights from the judges for Alexander.
Again, another lifter who's made all 3 of their squats this morning. We've seen a really good amount of good lifts. It's not too much red on the board, which is nice to see.
Yes. Now Nicholas is coming out for 200 kilos on the bar. Pete, that's 441, correct?
That is, yeah, absolutely. That's a big number. 200 kilos is one of those nice milestones when you get up to those ranges.
Absolutely.
Nice fight here. Yeah.
Nice. Good job, Nick. 2-1.
But that's a good lift.
Yep. Yellow card. Again, we can't always tell what that yellow card's for. But still a good lift for him there. Now Ted's coming out onto the platform for 220 kilos. This is a 12.5 kilo jump.
From a 10-kilo jump, but as we talked about, Ted's first meet. So it may be that you want to go more conservative to begin with. Make sure you get that first attempt in, and then you go for a smaller jump, then a larger one for your sort of reach goal. So this is one of those cases where I think this makes sense.
Yeah.
If you've got a first-time lifter, you want to make sure they've got that confidence. Now
Absolutely.
this is a much more amped-up version of Ted, I think, in terms of how he
Yes.
took that bar just there.
Absolutely. And his last attempt looked great, so I don't think this is a bad call by any means.
Absolutely not.
Let's see it, Ted. Come on.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, great job. Oh, great energy afterwards too. Love seeing that from the
Oh,
lifters.
yes.
Love seeing that.
Look at that excitement. That's how you want your first meet to go, right?
Absolutely.
I wish I was a lifter who could be that animated in my celebrations. Sometimes you'll get like a head nod or a slight smile from me.
Yeah.
I can't quite do that. And we've sort of been talking about as well, haven't we, this sort of energy level that rises with lifters. Sometimes you see it externally. Sometimes you see it internally.
Definitely, 100%. Now, 227.5 for Giuliano here. This is over 500.
Absolutely.
So 5 spotters out there on the platform. One spotter on the side will be going for the bar if there was a fail, and one would be grabbing the weights. But there is no fail right there by any means. That was phenomenal.
That's one of those
and he
situations.
probably has maybe 5 to 10 more kilos.
Possibly, yeah. With those explosive lifters, it's hard to know where it's going to drop off. But what I love is it's nice to need the platform crew, and not to have them and not need them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jordy's coming out now, 242.5.
More big weights.
Yes. Now as we're getting close to the end of the flight here, we are going to be moving into bench, but there will be a 10-minute break in between there for all of the lifters, correct? Before we go into the next discipline. And the same will be true for deadlifts?
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure of what the time is now in USA Powerlifting. I'm not sure if I got updated in the rulebook or not. We had a recent rulebook change, I should say.
Yes.
And I've tried to memorize as many of the changes as possible. And I love a lot of the changes they've made.
Yes.
But that's a great fight.
That's a very good third attempt by Jordy there. Yes, now the 3 white lights there for Jordy. And Sam's coming out for 272.5. Now, you said this before.
I expected this. Yeah, that's what I said. I said before I saw the 260, this is an interesting attempt selection.
Yeah.
Because it made me think he's gearing up for 600. And he is looking all kinds. You can see the intensity in his gaze right there.
He's ready
There
to
we go.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
See, Gino's getting excited about this as well. He knows that this is a significant moment for Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd's getting fired up as well. This is big.
Come on, Sam.
Look at him steadying himself there. Yes.
Very composed.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that Gino has called that before seeing the white.
Happened.
Gino's been at so many meets that he's so confident.
He
so
knows.
That was a great 2 flights there of squatting. We'll be back very soon for bench. We'll hope you'll join us back then. Thanks, everybody. And welcome back to the USA Powerlifting Odyssey Barbell Club Classic. Getting ready for our bench press attempts now for our morning session. We're going to have 2 flights of all-male lifters for you here. We've already had a great day of lifting yesterday, and we had a great squat session just now. All of our lifters on the board, all have made attempts to progress to the bench press event. So I'm joined here with Skip. What are we about to see?
We are about to see the bench press. Juno's coming out for his first attempt, 90 kilos. Now, big things with the bench press that we're looking for. His shoulders must stay on the bench. His feet must stay flat on the ground completely. His heels may not come up, and his butt must maintain contact with the bench. A new change for USAPL lifters is they are now allowed to lift their head off the bench if they would like to.
Waiting for that press command there. Looking under control.
Awesome. 3 white lights there for Juno. And there are 3 commands on bench: start, press, and rack. Start starts the lift. Press is when the bar is settled on your chest, and then the head ref will give you the call for press. Rack is once the bar is settled at the top of the lift once completing it. Colin Pham is coming out now for 95 kilos on the bar.
They've got a full minute here. We'll see that bench is one of those lifts where you can see some of the longer setups.
Yes.
So what we're hoping for is that lifters are able to get that start command. That's the command they need to get before the 60 seconds after bar is loaded is called. You can see that Colin here is a pretty technical lifter with the way he's setting up an arch there and trying to make full use of that time. But he still has over 20 seconds left. We see Colin waiting for all 3 of those commands there as well.
Very good job. 3 white lights. Cameron Doyle is coming out now to take the same weight, 95 kilos.
And this is one of these things where on squat, leverages, wingspan, that kind of thing, doesn't make as much of a difference in terms of how you're going to perform on the squat. On bench, the length of your arms or the length of your wingspan is going to make quite a bit of difference because the bar is going to travel a different range of motion, different stroke length, as it's sometimes referred to. But on deadlift, that long wingspan that we see with Cameron here, I'd say is a fairly long wingspan, will become an advantage on the deadlift. So these things can balance out.
Absolutely. Yeah, Cameron looks like he's got some leverages similar to me. I definitely have the longer arms. I've been told that my normal bench press takes about 4 seconds to complete, whereas most people take 2. And I'm sure the same is very true for you as well, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's one of those things. There's a little bit of balance sort of built into the system there. Long arms, good for deadlift. Slightly worse for bench.
Yep. Martin Rowley's coming out now. 102.5 on the bar.
So he's starting with that milestone lift of 225 or 2-pound plates on the bar. A pretty standard sort of gym lift. I'm sure this is a lift that Martin has hit plenty of times. We talked earlier about how you might choose a squat opener. There are some other things that... so Skip, you talked about choosing a weight that might be sort of 10 or 15 pounds under maybe or over a last warm-up, under what you might want to go for a second, something like that. But some other approaches people take, they may say, I'm going to choose a weight that is something I can comfortably hit for a triple, or a weight that if you drag me out of bed at 2 a.m. With no preparation, it's the kind of weight I feel like I could hit within 10 minutes.
Good lift there. 3 white lights.
So a closer grip style there from Martin.
Now, grip width has no limit in terms of coming in, but on the way out, you cannot go any wider than index finger on the outside ring.
Yeah, and you can see that ring on the knurling that you can see Kenny's just going for it there, and it looks like he's taken close to a max width grip.
Yeah.
So he goes for the same weight, it looks like.
Looks like that middle finger is on the ring for him, and that's around where I go for my grip as well.
See his wrists are slightly turned out, which also effectively widens the grip.
Yes. 3 white lights for him. 105 for Sean. Up next. Everyone's setup for bench is a little different. We've seen some people start with their feet on the ground, some people start with their feet close to the bench, some people start with their feet on the bench. But in the USAPL, that does not matter at all. You can set up however you like as long as those feet maintain full contact with the ground, your hips are on the bench, and then your upper back is on as well.
Never seen anybody called for their upper back or shoulders coming off the bench, I must admit. That would be
Yeah,
a
that
hard
would
one
be-
to achieve.
I always see that rule, and I'm like, has anyone ever been called for that?
I don't even know. I want to know why it's in the rules. It's almost one of those things where it's like, I'm not sure.
How you could bench press if that's...
Yeah, I'm not sure how you meet the other rules of performance without that. I'm sure someone has a clever reason. But I'm not sure there's any advantage I can think of there.
Yeah. Alex is taking 107.5 for his first attempt here. Now, another big thing that we're looking for in terms of the technique of the lift is before and after the bar has settled, you want your elbows to be completely locked. So no bend in the elbows. You may get the rack command or the start command if those elbows are bent, but you may still get called for the lift if they never straightened out. Willie's taking 122.5 here. Three white lights there. So pretty good so far in these opening bench attempts. Luke's coming out next for 127.5. Now I'm going to be interested to see what his emotions are like here, because on squat you definitely get very hyped, or he got very hyped up. Bench is a little bit of a different lift. You need to be a little more technically in it, so I'm going to be interested to see if he hypes himself up the same way, a little bit differently, what that may be. But we're about to find out. Maybe. Something seems like...
I'm not sure the bar is
Maybe-
loaded got called.
yeah, maybe
No,
this-
the clock is running,
Okay. What's going on?
but there is a potentially a misload that we're
Looks
correcting
like
for
it.
there.
Yep.
And the clock's been reset. We can see that now, so
Yes.
he's good to go. A little bit of confusion there, but it's the opener. You should be ready for a little bit of uncertainty of the opener. You choose a lighter weight, and things should be good.
Absolutely.
Just see him setting up here.
Smooth first attempt. See, a little more nonchalant right now, which again makes sense. You know, bench is probably the most technical lift in terms of what you need to just have down during the lift and all the commands that you need to listen for. So the composure makes sense, and the lift looked great. Brady's coming out now for 135.
That's also the reason that the music is kept quieter on bench. The lifter cannot see the referees to visually see any of the commands. They have to listen for those 3 commands that are all quite important and can easily be missed. So the music's kept quiet so we can hear them.
Yeah, you don't know Brady.
3 white lights there for Brady. All right, Jose is coming out now for 145.
As we've talked about before, Jose is forecasted pretty high up for the men's overall. Now, the men's overall takes account of the men who've lifted yesterday across 2 sessions, this session this morning, and will also take account of the session that we have this afternoon with the men's prime time session as well. So Jose is looking to build up as much as he can for a total to sort of fend off those competitors later in the day.
Taking his time with his setup. No lift off, self lift off. And no wrist wraps. Phenomenal lift. Great speed. Three white lights.
So you
Oh,
mentioned not taking a lift off there. What are the options that lifters have?
So, yes, the lifter can choose to either have someone in the spotting and loading crew to hand the bar off to them, or they can do it themselves. I see some people who train by themselves typically, or maybe they just prefer to not have someone over them while they're pressing. As for no liftoff, as we're seeing Juno do as well right here, he's taking 100 for his second attempt. Now he's taking the widest grip he can right now to maximize or minimize that range of motion as much as possible. Lift looked good. 3 white lights from the judges. Awesome job there.
Floor starting for Cameron, 220 pounds for Cameron, then Colin.
Cameron Doyle's coming out now. 100 kilos for him as well.
Yeah. Time to wake up. Let's kickstart some hearts out there.
Now, as you saw, Cam got the lift off there, and the spotter immediately moves away after giving that lift off. That is so the head referee can make the proper call without any obstruction of view.
Absolutely, but it can slow things down a little bit, which is another reason people tend to not opt for lift-offs, right, if they're that kind of lifter, because it'll take a moment there for that person to move out of the way, even if they're doing a great job. And this entire platform crew is moving incredibly smoothly and efficiently, which has helped the lifters to predict how much time they have and to make this a great experience for everybody involved.
Yes. Colin getting set up here, 102.5 on the bar. Back is all chopped up to give him a little bit of extra grip on that bench. Speedy. 3 white lights. Martin Rally's now coming out with 107.5 on the bar for his second attempt, a 5-kilo jump. Again, as we talked about during squat, we're going to see slightly smaller jumps, most likely for most lifters here on bench. It's the smallest of the total typically, so therefore those jumps are just going to be a little bit tinier than squat and deadlift. As we mentioned last time, Martin's electing to take a slightly closer grip than we've seen from other lifters.
Yeah, and there could be a few reasons for that. So he's got a good lift there. Sometimes a lifter will prefer a close grip because perhaps they've got a lot of experience doing a lot of the overhead lifts. Perhaps they have some sort of weightlifting or CrossFit background. Perhaps they just have particularly strong triceps or delts relative to their pectoral muscles. Or it just feels more comfortable and just feels stronger. There are many reasons why you may choose to lift in a different style on the bench, in the same way that we see lifters choose to elect either the high or the low bar on the squat, or sumo or conventional on the deadlift. It already comes down to what position do you find yourself strongest in? What do you most enjoy?
Absolutely. Kenny's is on the platform now with 110 kilos on the bar. A little bit sticky, but the lift looked good to me.
Yes,
Judges say 3 white lights.
you're starting to see some shakiness in that right arm there. It's interesting when you see that there's some lifters out there who will just start to shake while they lift weights.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things. You either kind of shake or you don't.
Yes. 100%. Sean's coming out now to take the same weight. 110 kilos. Three white lights there for Sean. Good lift.
Slightly uneven lockout, but that's not an issue in traditional powerlifting. Now, in some other powerlifting federations, for example, Paralympic powerlifting, or sometimes, the World Powerlifting Organization, that you'll see at the Paralympic Games, you must have an even lockout of the bench press, and that really can affect the weights that can be lifted.
Definitely.
The bar has to move up completely evenly. No such problem in traditional powerlifting. So if you ladder the bar and one side goes up, then another, no problem whatsoever. As long as the center of the bar doesn't come down, you're all good.
Absolutely. Alex is coming back out to the platform now. 115 kilos on the bar. Pretty good looking lift to me. Judges say 3 white lights.
It's another of those things. We were talking historically about how we didn't used to have the round system in powerlifting. We also used to, in traditional powerlifting, have that even lockout rule on the bench press, which meant that the benches were much lower. Again, so when you compare historically and you look at those old bench press numbers, some people may say, oh, we suddenly got a lot better at benching. Well, maybe the rule changed.
Yeah, maybe they changed a little bit. Willie's coming out now, 132.5 on the bar. He's got those 2 reds on, a black and a collar, as well as a silver.
So that was 292 pounds and a good lift for Willie. 292 pounds for an opener. You're probably going to think that he's going to go for that 300 plus range on the third.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what his actual decision is, but I could see 303 or 308 being called. Luke is coming back out to the platform now. 135.
As we sort of talked about, not as amped up for bench, but you see a lot of lifters sort of be a bit more relaxed for bench press. It's also that kind of thing where, even in the gym, people might listen to some more energetic music for squat and deadlift, but for bench, maybe you need something a little bit calmer to not over-energize yourself as you get into that setup.
I completely agree. That is 100% how I am when I'm lifting. Three white lights for Luke. Great second attempt. Brady's coming out now, 142.5 on the bar. 142.5 is that 315-ish mark, correct?
Yeah, it'd be 314, 315. Again, it's that question of how we round things,
Exactly,
right? But
yes.
yeah, I would say that given that the plates are and the bar and the collars are all calibrated with a certain tolerance percentage on them, that this was within the standard error range for 315. Therefore, I say this is 315. Same thing applies whenever you hear people say, oh, 317.5 isn't 700. Well, it's 699.9. And given that amount of tolerance in the calibration, it's 700.
I agree. That looked like a good lift to me. Brady pressed that pretty well. Little bit tougher than his first attempt. Oh, what happened there?
So we have
two
yellows.
Okay.
Now, as I said before, a yellow light on bench, depending on how you count it, can mean 9 to 12 different things.
Yeah.
Because the points of contact all count in there as well, so they could be one of those things. It could have been foot movement that we wouldn't have seen. Beat the press command is what we heard there. So
Gotcha,
beating the
okay.
command. So it's important that the lifter waits for the bar to be settled on their chest, to hear the press command, and then press.
Yes, 100%. That's a necessity. Jose's coming in now, 152.5 on the bar.
You have any experience perhaps missing a press command there, Skip?
I have for the first time yesterday.
And how did that feel?
Interesting. You know, I've been pretty sound with my technique for the most part throughout my powerlifting career to this point. But yesterday on bench specifically, you know, I jumped 2 commands, which was shocking because I never do that.
But you came back from it.
I did. I got my 3rd attempt, stayed in the meet, and then finished out getting tying my PR on bench, and then PRing my squat and my deadlift.
Awesome. Nice lift from Jose there. Good lift. So what would be your advice then for someone who's just been in that situation? They beat the press command. How do you compose yourself to then come back?
Yeah, so my biggest thing is I'd never try to overreact to any call that happens. When I knew that I missed the press command on the first attempt, I knew that I needed to really lock that down. So I think on the second attempt, I paused, and then I just forgot that there was another command after, and then the rack happened. So after the rack command was missed, I was like, okay, I just need to lock in. I actually walked out of the gym for a second, cleared my head, and then just came back in and hit it. Felt light, which is good to feel considering that I didn't miss any of the lifts on strength. So knowing that the strength was there the entire time was fine. It was just the technique, unfortunately.
A lovely lift from Cameron there with that 105.
Yep. And now Juno's coming up for his 3rd attempt, 107.5. 7.5 kilos. He took a 10-kilo jump on his first, so I would say this is pretty standard.
And again, we're hearing that anime song that I don't quite recognize, but I know that it is one.
Yeah.
I've seen enough edits of gym footage on either Instagram or TikTok to this stuff that I've become familiar.
Significantly quieter, though, than what we heard before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, he needs to hear all of the commands as he cannot see them. Ooh. Just a little too heavy there.
Yeah, got sticky off the chest and just wasn't quite able to fight through. But he doesn't look too sad about it. He's still smiling.
Yeah.
So we press on.
I think once you get at least one of every lift, I think it's important to at least, even if you are upset about the lift, to keep the composure there because there's still more meat to go and you have to finish out if you want to get close to what your plan was for the day. Or maybe you can still get it. Colin Pham's coming out now, 107.5 on the bar. Very good 3rd. Probably has enough for a 4th, but you don't get those.
True. Some federations will allow you a 4th attempt for some kind of record attempt, but that's the thing that's become far less common these days. I quite like that we have 3 attempts for each lift.
I do as well.
There have been arguments made that we could change things around a little bit. Maybe we could do 2 attempts on the bench, or maybe one thing people like to debate is the conventional and the sumo deadlift. Maybe we could do 2 attempts of each of those as well.
That would be cool. However, that makes the attempt numbers even, and I personally think that it's cool having attempt numbers be odd.
Yeah, okay.
Good fight there from Martin on 112.5. He got it up, and 3 white lights from the judges.
He's exuberant about it. You can see that excitement. He's yelling and cheering.
Sean is now coming to the platform to take the same weight, 112.5. Two and a half kilos up from his last attempt, which he did get. His first attempt, he went up 5 from that to his second. So this makes sense.
Yeah, you almost never see. It's incredibly rare to see someone go up more from their second to third on bench press than from their first to second. You might see it with squat and deadlift, but on bench, it's a little bit harder to try and reach and overextend. Ooh, just a little too heavy again. He's pushing through. There was no quit there. It was impressive.
Very good. Didn't fail it till it absolutely was coming back down. Gave it all of his effort possible.
Yeah, and again, he missed with a weight that was 2.5 kilos more than the previous attempt, so no kilos lost.
No. Had everything that he could on the day. Kenny is now coming out for his final attempt of 117.5, 7.5 kilos up from his first attempt, which was the same jump he took between his first and second. Keep fighting. Oh.
And just a little too heavy.
No lift for Kenny is
Still looks like he's in good spirits after it.
ready for Alex.
Alex is coming out to take that same weight, 117.5.
Kilos for Alex, then Willie.
Slightly different journey to get there. 7.5 kilo jump, then a 2.5 kilo jump. That's typically where I like to see myself end up on bench. Bench is actually the lift. Third bench is the lift that gets missed the most by powerlifting competitors by a great margin. And that's partly because of this minimum 2.5 kilo jump, which ends up being a large percentage of the bench press. So missed thirds aren't too shocking, but Alex isn't going to be one of them.
No, he was not. That was a great fight.
Yeah, after a more difficult start to the day on squat, he made bench look great there.
3 white lights. Here comes Willie, then Luke.
Willie's coming out now with 137.5 on the bar. Focusing up before he heads out there.
So this is going to be in that 300-pound range. 303, right?
I believe so. Yes, 303.
Nicely done.
3 white lights there.
Another huge Willie lift.
Luke's coming out now. 140 on the bar.
308, yep.
Bars loaded, Luke.
See, now he's getting a little more hype than he did on his first 2 attempts now. Still less energy than he probably had on the squat, but, you know, again, expected. He needs to stay composed.
And the lift for Luke is good.
Nice. So this is an interesting little bit of attempt selection, right?
Yes,
We're
I
seeing
just saw that. Brady's coming out with 147.5 on the bar after missing 142.5. So I'll be interested to see if he hits this. Do you remember why he missed it the last time?
I was about to ask you that same question. So, was this the beat and press command?
Yes,
I think it was.
Yes, you were correct. So I'll be interested to see. He just needs to be a little more technical here. He did get the weight up, so it wasn't a fail on strength per se.
Right. And a good selection, I think.
I think so as well.
And that's one of those things where you don't know. This is a thing where Brady's just confident that he knew he could get a higher weight. Or was it that he had a specific number he wanted to come for today regardless of the outcome? you know, these are the different objectives that people might have going into this.
All right, Jose is coming out for 160 on the with 160 on the bar. If he hits it, he will be in first place forecasted. His
Right.
subtotal currently sits at 400.
So this would take that to 407.5. And as long as he makes his deadlift opener that he currently has submitted, he obviously has the ability to change that during warm-ups if he decides that is no longer the weight he wants to hit. But if he hits this and he hits his first deadlift, he's in first place going into the afternoon session. I don't think there's anyone else in the morning who we're looking at who could come close to him at the moment.
No.
So I wonder if Jose will be in the audience for the afternoon and thinking, I'm going to be on that podium.
I can very well see that happening. He definitely should stick around.
Amazing fight
Great
here.
fight. Come on, come on, come on.
Not sure from this angle. I'm hoping his hips stayed down. And they
Three
did.
white lights, 160. Putting his total at 407.5 heading into the deadlift.
And he's an 82.5 kilo lifter.
Yes.
It's an impressive subtotal. So some success there. And that rounds out the first flight of bench for our morning session.
Going into seconds, we have Nicholas leading off with 92.5 kilos on the bar.
Gino was excited by that lift. So our bar's ready.
Nicholas 204. After Nicholas comes Cameron.
You know what we've not seen much of today? There's not been much communication between the lifters and the person doing liftoffs.
No.
Typically, you can see some protracted conversations happening there
Yeah.
on, just how I'd like to receive my lift. You can see how quick they get back here as well, right? So there's a good
Yes.
lift there for Nicholas, and immediately the platform crew's there, like an F1 pit stop crew.
Yes, no, they've been on it. And to the specific point on the liftoff person, I know yesterday in my flight, they were coming up to us while we were like next or 3 out, something like that, and just saying, how do you like it, so that they knew when it was time. So great on them for being ahead of the game because it is making this meet fly.
That's making a world of difference. So who have we got here?
We got Cam up now, taking 100 kilos, and that was a very fast attempt. 3 white lights. Cam is electing to go with a very close grip for someone with long arms like he has. So
That'll slightly extend the range of motion and therefore the amount of work that needs to be done.
definitely. But again, if he feels stronger in his shoulders and his triceps than his chest, then that may be the best option for him.
Absolutely.
107.5 on the bar for Alexander.
May have slightly knocked the rack there. So there is a rule that isn't going to apply here. He gets a good lift. But there is a rule that if you hit the uprights and they're seen to support or assist in your lift, then that can be a cause for disqualification. But that was clearly not an intentional use of the uprights to sort of grind against them for stability or anything like that. He just knocked into them.
Yep.
So no issue there whatsoever, and gets a good lift and he's on the board.
Yes. Now Paul Hammerstrom is coming out with 122.5 on the board. Or on the bar.
Come on, Hammerstrom.
Taking some time to get that start come on there. He's been asked to replace the bar. Only 24 seconds remaining. So he's going to work out from the chief referee what the issue is.
I'm wondering if it's his hips or his feet. We can't see the feet right now, so maybe it was his feet being up.
And he gets the command with 8 seconds left. Difficult. Ooh.
May have jumped the rack. Yeah, he jumped the rack command.
That's a shame. But strength-wise, we know the strength is there. Some technical things to sort out. I'm sure that he can come back and get that on the second. Now, it's an interesting decision of, I know I'm strong enough. Do I put the same weight on the bar or do I increase it? My recommendation with the lifter would typically be to stay the same. Sometimes people like to roll the dice.
Yeah, I can vouch for that as someone that went up on his second after missing.
Did you actually?
Oh, yeah.
That's terrifying. I could
Yes.
never be you. No, that's I play it conservative most of the time.
Max taking 127.5. Looks smooth. Judges agree.
This is one of these things again when we talk about the objectives that different lifters have. Some people will aim to go 9 for 9 or maximize as many attempts as possible. Some people care less about that. For me, I always like to make as many attempts as possible. It just makes me more confident about lifting in general. I'm someone who hates missing lifts in training as well. So that's the kind of style of attempt selection that I take. I'm far happier to undershoot
Yes.
and make lifts. But yeah, absolutely. If you've got a goal coming in and you want to touch some weights that you've been planning to touch, then you're going to go for them anyway.
Exactly.
Nice.
Andrew with a great 127.5 there. Every lift from him today has been speedy to this point.
I'm going to ask one more time. Are there any Teddy
All right.
fans in the house?
Ted Diaz coming out, 135. The crowd is loud for him.
They put out this whole section, Chrissy.
Yeah, he appears to have his own cheering block in the crowd, and it's a gym meet. It's a fantastic gym.
Oh, yeah.
But it's close quarters.
Definitely.
For spectating, and you can tell how close they are to the platform, and he will be hearing them. It'll be hard to block them out.
Yes. Now, I will say, when we went out during the last intermission, it was very packed in there. So there is a lot of people watching this live, in person, at Odyssey Barbell Club, cheering them on. You can see a little bit of them in the back there. People standing around, people sitting. Lift looked good.
Yeah, we're going to avoid that rear angle too much. There's so much going on. The camera has no idea what to focus
Exactly.
on.
Exactly. I was like, oh, wow. All right, Jordy's coming out. He just told the liftoff guy how he wanted it. I just saw that real quick. 145 is on the bar. A little bit of a challenging lift, but good. And I believe he's the first lifter we've seen today that has lifted his head off the bench, which is newly allowed rules in the USAPL.
Yeah. I've seen a couple that I think have come a little close, but that was a more intentional lift. You could definitely tell that's the style that he prefers. So that's one of those things that came originally from the equipped side of the sport, and concerns around people using bench shirts with a lower and lower cut, which to use those effectively you'd have to raise your head off the bench. So to sort of limit that arms race in the equipped side of the sport, there was a limit placed on raising the head. But it's not really as relevant for Raw. So it's one of those rules now where we tend to keep the rules of performance the same across both equipped and Raw sport in USA Powerlifting.
Sam just hit a very fast 147.
Absolutely he did. That was a great lift. But it's one of those things, again, where it'll be interesting to see what the effect of that rule will be on the equipped side and whether we see some different bench shirts being used.
Absolutely.
No equipped lifters this meet that I'm aware of, though.
No, not today. All right, Giuliano's coming out now with 160 on the bar.
So Giuliano set up here. And we'll see what one of these handoffs looks like from that chief spotter on the platform crew there.
So notice how he's just kind of guiding that bar out there.
Ah, that was strong.
Very strong. The lift off. Ooh, what happened there?
Unfortunately, he's beaten the press command. Now, he's just having a conversation with his handler there about what he needs to change differently or what's gone on. And I'm sure that's one, given the strength of that lift, that's one I might go up from.
Yes,
but
that looked very good.
You take a risk. And I feel like he may be a speedy lifter. And again, the speedier the lifter, the more I get concerned that, do you grind? Do you have that capacity to grind?
Yes.
Or are you going to be someone who's fast until you're not? And then you just hit a wall, right? And that tends to be what you see from those faster, more explosive lifters, that their lifts all look quick until they don't.
Yes, I can agree to that. Nicholas is taking a second attempt, which looked pretty smooth there, 100 kilos. 3 white lights. Judges agree. Cameron DeCarlo's coming out for 107.5 next.
The bar is ready. Here comes Cameron. 237 pounds. And Cameron comes Alexander.
Seeing like for no lift off here, so we'll see him take this lift off from this angle. There we go.
Looked pretty good. 3 white lights. Alexander's coming out next for 115. 7.5 kilo jump from his 107.5 opener.
Bar's ready for Alexander. After him comes Hammerstrom.
Three white lights there. A little bit sticky in the center, but got through it. All right, Paul Hammerstrom is coming out next. He did miss his first attempt, but is going up 5 kilos here to 127.5.
Now, if you remember, Paul had a little bit of an issue getting the start command. He had 8 seconds left on the clock when he finally got it. But now, we presume that he knows what it is he needs to change to get that start command from the chief ref. And also, to make sure that he complies and waits with the rack command.
Yes.
Okay, so start command speedily. Chino helping him out there. And we've got a good lift. Oh,
2 to
no,
1,
I was
no
wrong.
good.
I've cursed him. 2 yellows.
His heel came off the
Yeah, we had some foot lift there, unfortunately. In this federation, you cannot allow your feet to raise off the ground. They can shift around a little bit, but the heel cannot come up, which I'm afraid it did.
Yeah.
That leaves Paul in a very difficult position. He decided to go up regardless. As I sort of said, that's the position that I prefer to stay the same weight. And now he's coming back for that third attempt. With what would look like a harder attempt there on the second.
I would say so
It's
myself as well.
going to be a fight to stay in the meet there. But I'm sure the crowd will get behind him, and Gino will help the crowd to do that and support Paul as he comes back for that third.
Absolutely. Maxwell taking 135 right now pretty smoothly. 3 white lights from the judges. Awesome job. All right, Andrew is now taking 135 as well.
This is one of those things that can sometimes make bench move a little faster, is that a lot of the weights often end up being the same. So the spotters and loaders don't have to change plates so much. They will, however, have to change the height of the uprights and the height of the safeties. And also just the amount of setup time that you see in bench can mean that it's one of the disciplines that takes longer. Deadlift will be the quickest. There'll be no start command. There's no correct position or to be in before you start the lift. And a nice lift there from Andrew.
Very good. Ted Diaz coming out now for 142.5. This is that 314, 315 mark.
So a big milestone attempt here for a second attempt. Does a good job waiting for those commands.
3 white lights for Ted. Great job there. Jordy is coming out next, 147.5. A 2.5 kilo jump, which I would say would make sense. His first attempt did have that little sticking point, if you remember.
It'll be interesting to see how this one moves. Watching Geordie set up here and receive a liftoff. We'll see that the cheese spotter here tries to glide the bar out to Geordie. Yeah, that's a lovely looking liftoff actually, and that can make a world of difference in a bench press.
Exactly. He's not really lifting up on the bar at all. He's just trying to give that little bit of assistance to guide it out safely.
Yeah, over into the correct position there. What you don't want, and you sometimes see, and it really, yeah, you hate to see it, is where the person who's been elected to give liftoffs will really kind of drop
Jerk
and
it,
jump
yeah.
the bar onto the lifter's hands. You'll not have very much tension there at all, and that can be very difficult. And it's that kind of variability that if you don't know that you're going to have a good person giving liftoffs like this gentleman here, you may decide, look, I'm going to remove that variable, and I'm going to remove that concern. I'm just going to teach myself to do self-handoffs.
Now, Jordy did hit his last lift pretty cleanly. We now have Sam Cohen taking a 10 kilo jump up to 157.5. The lift is good. 3 white lights. All right, so another lifter, Giuliano, who missed his first attempt, but is increasing on his second. 165 on the bar now. That looked pretty good. Judges agree 165 is green lighted, 3 white lights.
Nice.
And that brings us into our third attempts in the second flight.
And therefore, our last bench attempts of the morning. There'll be some drama with some of these, I'm sure. We've had some difficulties with some of the seconds, and some of them have looked really, really easy. So this is where we'll see that variation and see how they decide to close out the bench press event before we start to move to the deadlift, which is where some people say the meat really starts to happen, right, when that weight hits the floor.
Absolutely. Don't know if you have a full total until the first deadlift.
Absolutely.
Nicholas taking 107.5 here. 7.5 kilo jumps across the board for his bench. And I think that was a perfect call.
So we're seeing the platform crew get it set up here now for our next lifter.
Cameron DiCarlo taking 112.5. 5 kilo jump.
We'll see him set up here, electing again not to take a lift off. Making sure he's got all those points of contact there. Bit of a fight. Unfortunately, just
lost it.
hits a wall there. But a well-elected attempt, I think.
Definitely.
They had a reasonable shot at that one, and I'm sure next time a meet rolls around, he'll be confident for that.
Absolutely. Alex is coming out now for 122.5. 7.5 kilos. Up from his 115 attempt on his last. Fight, fight, fight.
I'm worried about those hips.
I am too. But he does fight through. He got it to the top. He got the command. Let's see what they say. No good. I think it was the hips as well.
And that's when we run the replay. And yeah, we're seeing that unfortunately they are fairly high off the bench there. Yep. So that, unfortunately, I mean, a no lift, but he did. Oh, this is super interesting.
Yes,
What are we
very
seeing, Skip?
interesting. All right, so Paul has missed both of his bench attempts to this point, but is electing to take a 2.5 kilo jump from his last attempt up to 130 for his third and final attempt, which he needs to hit in order to get a full total in this meet.
So the first time we saw difficulty getting the start command, then in that same attempt, missing, unfortunately, the rack command, and then we saw the heels lift up after a bit of a fight with 127.5.
Up, 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 up. Oh.
Fortunately, no luck there, which does mean that Paul is our first palm out of the meet, hopefully the last, but he can continue onto deadlift if he wishes.
Now, that is something that he now has to inform the referee crew about, as in the new rule book with the USAPL, you now need to inform the judges table if you are going to continue or not continue the meet if you bomb out.
And it looks like he was speaking to our TC there, Amanda, technical controller, who I'm sure will be informing him of that obligation and responsibility as well. That's a newer rule that some of the lifters may not be aware of. You do have to read a fairly large new rule book to actually catch that rule.
Yes.
So a lot of local meet directors will be making sure that lifters are aware.
137.5 moved well for Maxwell. 3 white lights from the judges. Awesome job. Perfect call attempt there.
Yeah, that looked good to me.
So honestly, a little interested in this one because Andrew's last attempt moved phenomenally. Only taking a 5 kilo jump here. I was just thinking he was going to go with another 7.5, but he's probably playing conservative, looking like he wants to build a 9 for 9 day. Great setup. Phenomenal lift there.
Yeah, to them it's a conservative call, but a good call.
Definitely a good call. And again, as I said, based on all of his attempts so far, I would say he's moving his way towards getting that 9 for 9 day, which seems like it could be one of his goals.
Absolutely. Again, we hear the cheers here for Ted.
Ted's got that crowd. 147.5 on the bar for him. Getting a little hype here. Love to see it.
Glides across the bar for Ted.
Up, up, oh. Unfortunate.
Just
that
a
was
bit
just
too much.
Yeah. Got stuck right in the middle, unfortunately.
Quite good to see the bar pop
And
from
it
there.
does look like his hips may have popped up a little bit
Yeah.
too. Jordy's coming out next with 150 on the bar. His standard jump of 2.5 kilos today.
Absolutely.
And I think this has been the right call, at least on the first 2 attempts. You know, his first attempt, as I said, when it happened was a little sticky. His second moved just as well, I would say, as that first. So hopefully this third will be the right call. Up, 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 up. Keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. Ah. Good try there, Jordy. Good effort. But again, as you've said, his last lift was only 2.5 kilos behind that, so he got everything he could on the day. Sam Cohen's coming out for 165 on the bar.
This is a pretty significant bench. These last 2 benches are both in the range above many of the squats we've seen today.
Yes.
when your upper body's so developed that it can beat some people's lower bodies, that's impressive. That is it's a little bit misleading. The bench does end up being quite a full body lift with a lot of leg drive.
Absolutely.
You're seeing it there.
And yes, Sam was a perfect display of that. Really pushing through the feet strongly there. 3 white lights and a great way to finish out his bench press session.
And this is the last lift of this bench press session.
Giuliano taking 172.5 kilos.
So you'll remember that for Giuliano's first lift, he beat the press command, chose a smaller jump there from 160 to 165, and is now going for a larger jump after successfully getting on the board, going for that 172.5. I'm going to say, based off the speed and strength that we've seen so far, I think this is there.
I would agree with you. Let's see, though.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah.
There we go.
So some fantastic bench pressing there. Another great sort of event after the squat. Bench is completed. We'll see you in about 10 minutes for the deadlift.
Correct.
We'll see you then. Bye. So this is where it gets exciting. This is where the music gets loud. We're on to deadlifts on the morning session of the Odyssey Barbell Club Classic 2023. And now we have
Martin Raleigh coming to the platform. Let's turn the energy up. It is deadlifts, everyone's favorite time. You can already hear the crowd in its first attempts. Love to see that. Gino's holding up a sign in the back there. I can't see what it says.
Go Dada, I believe. I think we've got some family in the crowd for Martin.
Oh, awesome. Speedy attempt there. 3 white lights. Awesome job, Martin.
See that from the side. Wedges beautifully. Confident, easy opener.
Awesome. Kenny's is coming up next, 155 on the bar.
See that crowd getting excited from here.
Speedy
That was a
there.
snappy pull,
Wow.
wasn't it? Have another look at that one. There's a lot you can see from the front of a deadlift, but even more from the side, which is where this ankle can come into play.
Juno's coming out next. 165 is on the bar. Now, as we talked about earlier with squat, you are allowed to adjust the belt on the platform. That is the only equipment that he is wearing here. And it's the only equipment that you are allowed to adjust on the platform.
Absolutely. Although you can use those other items of equipment on all of the lifts. You can use knee sleeves on deadlift if you want. You can use wrist wraps on deadlift if you want.
Yes.
They're not lift specific.
Pretty good there. Colin Pham coming out next with a 172.5 on the bar. Nearing that 400-pound mark right now. I believe this is 392, 385.
Somewhere in that range.
Yes.
Not going to say precisely, but certainly a lift that if you're starting here, you're expecting to go north of 400. You can see some big jumps on the deadlift. And that, I think, moved so well, and the refs agree.
Lights, yep.
Snappy.
Alex is coming out for a 200-kilo deadlift opener. Great milestone here, 441.
Come on, Alex, you got one opportunity. Actually, you got 9 opportunities.
Nice and smooth.
Great attempt there. Going with a narrower sumo stance there.
All right, here comes Brady. You all know who he is now.
Nice.
Bar's ready for Brady.
Brady's got 200 kilos on the bar as well.
So sometimes the lifts that lifters will open with on the deadlift will be slightly lower as a percentage of their max. They've already done 6 attempts by this point of the day. They may want to conserve some energy as they build and make slightly larger jumps on the deadlift. So typically, if people out there like percentages, yeah, good lift there for Brady. People like percentages, typically you'll hear something around a 93%-ish opener of your maximum for squat and bench, and maybe a 91% or 90% opener for the deadlift.
200 kilos on the bar as well for Cameron.
See Cameron sit down into that sumo position.
Very good lift.
Should build some confidence.
All right, how about Luke? 469 pounds for Luke. Then Sean.
Luke's coming out for 212.5.
Bars ready.
Speedy attempt there for Luke.
All very good openers so far.
That is good for Luke.
Yes, I believe there hasn't been a red light yet.
I think you're right. And nothing that I've even seen that I've even debated in my own head. Yeah.
Would red light myself, yeah. Nothing. Sean's coming out for 217.5. And you really like to see that as they're ending out their days right now. So you want them to get on the board here so that they can build that full total that we've been talking about.
Yeah, we've only got one lifter who unfortunately didn't make it through the bench press event.
I did have a conversation with Paul in the back. He seemed to be in pretty good spirits about it, and he said that he will continue the meet and do deadlift.
Awesome.
Ooh, that looked a little...
Did we just curse a lifter here?
Yeah.
Let's have a
that
look
looked
at
a
that
little.
one. A little bit of a bobble at the top. Just so quick.
Yeah,
And
2-1.
unfortunately has been called against the lifter. You can see there
Okay.
the bar has gone down at the top as it's settled there.
Yes, you cannot bobble the weight at the top. You can stall at any point during the lift on the way up. You just cannot go back it down.
Yeah, the center of the bar can't come back down again. That's on all three lifts.
Willie's coming out for 250 next.
551 pounds.
Three white lights for Willie. Great
Slight-
job there.
Slightly slow opener than we've seen for some others, but for a conventional lift, not too concerning. Looks like perhaps his hips shot a little bit early,
Yes.
but getting into the groove of deadlifting now, I'm sure.
All right, Jose. We've talked a lot about Jose so far today. He's coming out now to open up his deadlifts with 295.
Yep, if he makes this, he'll be in first place on this competition on the men's overall side, putting in with the highest dots of the competition so far. Dots is a coefficient formula developed by a German guy, Tim Konertz, and it helps us compare lifters of different body weights and how strong they are relatively on a pound-for-pound basis. Let's see how this moves.
Moved fast. It did bobble a little bit at the top, but three white lights.
Didn't see that myself. I want to see the lockout from the side,
Yeah.
though, that's for sure. But I don't think the bar moved. No, the
Okay,
bar's
no
fine.
more.
And the lockout's a lot more convincing from the side than from the
yeah.
front.
So great job by the refs there to call that. That puts him just above that 700 kilo mark for his total on the day so far.
Awesome. And also, he will have other competitors in this primetime session coming up after these deadlifts at around 4 p.m. Eastern, or exactly at 4 p.m. Eastern, I should say. We'll be kicking off with that second session.
One thing to note about that second session, after Martin takes this 155,
Looks solid there.
yeah, great job. But to that second session, the first flight you will see in that second session will be our last men's flight outside of prime time.
Understood.
And then that last flight of the entire meet will be our men's prime time. We had women's prime time last evening, and now men's prime time will pair up with our final men's grouping tonight.
Awesome.
Kenny's is coming out next with 170 on the bar.
Bars ready for Kenny's.
And you can now see at the bottom right that placement indicator that will tell you, now that these men have put together a total, where their actual standing is in the group. And this lift, now that it looks successful, and it is, moves Kenny's from 30th into 29th overall.
Yes.
I believe we've got over 50 men in this competition. It might even be a much higher number than that, but it's definitely over 50.
Yeah, I believe we're right around 100 competitors for the entire meet as a whole, so that would make sense. I believe there was a total 5 men's flights compared to 2.5 women's flights. There was one mixed flight that happened yesterday.
Absolutely. So waiting for this bar to get set up. You can see that the spotters are moving it on the platform into position.
177.5 on the bar for Juno. 12.5 kilo jump. Again, this is where we're probably going to see them take the biggest jumps in between their lifts. Deadlift tends to be that lift that, again, you may start a bit lighter because it's at the end of the meet. You want to get a lift on the board first, but also it's the lift that you tend to be able to at least lift the most load, even if it is not your best lift.
It is good for you. Here comes Colin.
Colin's coming out next, 185 on the bar, 408 for pounds.
407 pounds.
If he hits this, he will go from 20.
Stay in that 28th place
20,
position. Yeah,
stay in
absolutely.
8th. Gotcha.
Looks like he's gripping partially on the smooth there. So that barbell has a knurled face and also a smooth face as well. Looks like he's partially on both. And a good lift.
Lights.
Little smile at the top.
Chief referee.
Alex is coming out next with 215 kilos on the bar, a 15 kilo jump from his opening attempt of 200, which he did get.
They've just been cleaning the bar here, getting that ready, and the chief referee is now satisfied. So we see Alex come up now to prepare.
Come on, Alex. 474 pounds.
Moving Alex from 27th into 26th, even on these second attempts, which are really important strategically to set yourself up to sort of force the opponent to go heavier or to determine where that third pull is going to be. We're seeing some movement of position here. And that takes Alex over the 500 kilo mark on total as well.
Awesome.
Locks that out with takes some work, but could still be some more room there. Depends how much Alex is able to grind through that last few inches, which is what's looking like the difficult part for him on this lift. Typically, you see the last couple of inches being hardest for conventional lifters, not for sumo, but that appears to be Alex's sticking point.
Yes. Cameron's taking the same weight as Alex did, 215 kilos. He also is taking the same 15 kilo jump after hitting his 200 kilo opener.
Another sumo lift. A lot smoother at the finish, but what do we mean when we say sumo? What's the difference there between a sumo and a conventional?
Yeah, so sumo is this position right here where your hips are out wide, your feet are usually turned out slightly. They may still be a little more forward than we just saw right there. And then your hands are inside of your legs. With conventional, your hands move outside your legs, your feet go right underneath your shoulders, maybe a little bit wider depending on how you're set. And then obviously with the two different setups, there's going to be different muscles work. So the sumo is going to have a little more leg involvement, a little more adductors, a little more glutes, whereas the conventional deadlift is going to have more of an effect on the back, specifically the low back.
And that's a nice lift again for Brady there with a sumo style on the deadlift.
All right, so Sean is coming out to reattempt his first attempt of 217.5. He did miss it the last time. This one looks a little bit better.
Waiting for those
3
lights.
white lights.
And that's a good lift.
Now, another thing you may notice some of the lifters doing here is they have now, or they're now only dressed in their singlet. For squat and bench, you are required to wear a shirt underneath your singlet, and then for deadlift, you are allowed to take that off. Getting hype here right now for Luke, as we would expect after seeing him perform all day. 230 on the bar. Just over that 500 kilo mark, or 500 pound mark. Ooh, dropped the bar a little early there.
Let's have a look at that one. So what do we see?
Got it up, but then as he goes down, he lets it go before it touches the ground.
Right. So the rule book there specifies that the bar must be lowered under control. I believe it still says in the new version, i.e., meaning this is the definition, rather than an EG, with hands on the bar.
Correct.
So what that rule really means is keep your hands on the bar while you lower it.
Yep. Willie's coming out now to take 262.5. Going with an over-under hand grip here. There's a couple different ways we may see lifters grab a bar for deadlifts. The over-under hand grip, just like Willie had right there. The hook grip, which we've seen many lifters do, which has your thumb taking the brunt of the weight in terms of holding that bar. And then a double overhand grip, which I would say is the most taxing and hardest to lift the most load. So we're probably not going to see too many lifters, even if they started with that, stick with that throughout. Jose is loading 310 right now. It would push him from 702 up to 712 for his total. Again, he is already in first place, so everything now is just...
I think we've been looking at 717.5.
Ah, yes, you are correct. I did not see. 295 was his last attempt.
So pretty big movement here, and it would be 684 pounds that he has loaded on the bar right now.
That is a lot of weight.
So it's possible that he's teeing up for a potential attempt if this is successful and moves well to 700. Oh, a little stuck on the thighs there.
Dang.
That's the commentator's curse.
Yeah.
Oh, and he gets the lift.
Let's see this. Let's see this.
So maybe the lockout position isn't what it looks like from the front there.
Oh, wow. That
Oh, no,
actually looks
absolutely.
pretty good.
Oh, goodness me. This is where it's good that I'm not refereeing from this camera angle. The referees will all sit in the position that's best for them to be able to see the lift. I was concerned there, and it looked like he might have been concerned too.
Yeah.
So I think that facial expression sometimes makes you think a lifter's gone a certain way. And sometimes a lifter can be really positive and animated and try and sell a lift, which I don't think that we saw the lifter do there.
No.
But it looked to me like it hadn't quite been locked out. But we see it from that side angle, closer to where the referee is sat on the side. And you can see that was a very convincing lift. So maybe we will see a 700-pound attempt. It would be a big jump.
It would be. It would definitely be a big jump. In our third attempts now, we have Martin coming out for 162.5.
Nice lift there. Lots of fist bumps in the back. It's nice when you see the lifters all sort of really enjoying with each other. You can see that Kenny's is really enjoying himself right now. He knows this is the last lift. Let's have some fun
and
with it.
you can see what he's actually loading up for. 402, 182.5. Based on his emotions right now, we can assume that this would be a PR, at least on the platform.
I think he's having some fun. And it's, yeah, like I was saying, I love seeing lifters have fun at these meets. There'll be a lot of people that they know from the New England Northeast area, if not from Odyssey Barbell or from New Hampshire specifically. But everyone back there seems to be having a great time. The vibes are immaculate, as the kids say.
Absolutely. Let's go, Kenny's. Oh, very
I
good.
feel like there was more there.
There is definitely more there.
Let's have a look at that one from the side. And a great lift to close out his day.
Awesome.
And it's a third attempt, and I'm hearing anime, which means who have we got coming up?
We got Juno coming up, 187.5. 10 kilos up from his last attempt of 177.5, which he's gotten. This would take him from 31st into 30th.
I'm going to have to find out after this what series this is from.
Up, 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 up.
What a
Ooh,
fight. He's
come
still
on,
fighting.
come on,
Look
come
at
on,
the
come on.
change in
Come
face
on.
expressions as he keeps going.
That was a phenomenal fight. 3 white lights. Everything about that lift was incredible.
This lift was so long that going back the 12.5 seconds in time that our replay does didn't capture the whole lift. Typically, you can be fairly safe that 12.5 seconds is going to get the whole of the lift. Not so much with that kind of grind.
All right, Colin Pham is coming out now for a 200-kilo final attempt on the day. 15 kilos up from his last attempt.
440 pounds for power.
Waiting for the beat drop here, Colin. He knows he's still got some time based off the song choice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was well timed.
He synced that up immaculately. You know what? If I could choose my own songs for my mates, I would do the same thing.
Fair enough. And you do have one coming up rather soon, don't you?
Yeah, 2 weeks' time. We'll see how that goes. But I won't be choosing my own music. So trust me, I'll be listening to plenty of music in the back. That's what I tend to do. You see a lot of lifters taking different approaches back here. They're doing different things. They're dancing around. They're chatting. They're talking. I tend to be one of those guys who just walks around a lot with earphones in. Not too communicative, if I'm honest with you.
Fair enough. That is definitely me when I'm in the back. And then I'm a little more talkative once I'm done lifting and in between lifts. But once I'm back here getting ready, I'm very silent. Alex is now taking 222.5 for his final attempt.
Getting nice and relaxed here. Trying to lengthen the arms is what some people would describe this as. Obviously not actually physically lengthening your arms. That'd be pretty spectacular. But just trying to make sure they hang long like hooks and pulling away. Getting a little stuck on the thighs there, unfortunately.
Great effort there, Alex.
We'll watch that one back and just see what happens. But I think on the right thigh, he just becomes a little stuck.
Yep.
Yeah. And at that point, just very difficult to fight through that. But a great effort.
All right, Brady is coming out now for 227.5 on the bar.
That is 500 pounds.
Milestone lift here.
It's getting some support from the crowd.
Come on, Brady.
You can hear that, see that cheering in the back. Gino cheering from as well.
See, Brady, come on. Up, up, up,
Unfortunately not today, but a lot of guts.
All right, Cameron Doyle is coming out next for the same weight, 227.5.
We'll see that the spotter and loaders have just cleaned off the bar there, as they tend to do between every third attempt.
Yes.
Make sure that there's not too much chalk baked in there. Keep that grip good.
Yes.
You'll see 2 white powders being used today. You'll see that this gentleman, Cameron, has baby powder or talcum powder on his legs to reduce frictional drag. You do not want to confuse that with the other white powder that we use, chalk, to improve grip. They're doing very different things. One's maximizing friction, one is minimizing it.
Yes. Both very useful in this deadlift here, which looked phenomenal to finish out. That is that 500-pound mark. So he just crossed it and is clearly very excited about it. Great job there.
Yeah, he's happy.
Sean's coming out next for 227.5 as well.
A lot of these lifters want to hit this 500-pound number.
Sean, then Luke. And Willie.
Looks good to me. Let's see.
And the lift is
3 white lights.
All right, here comes Luke. Luke's a hooker.
All right, so Luke is coming out. He is adding another 10 kilos after missing his last attempt. 240 is on the bar. If he hits it, he will go from 20th to 14th.
That's a big jump. This is when the deadlift specialist, the infamous deadlift specialist, can make some moves. Will he be one of them today? He's
Hyping up the crowd, hyping himself up, getting set.
taking a gamble here. He either gets his 240 that he's going for now, or he ends on the 212.5 he started with. He wants it.
Up. Unfortunate there. Gets to his knees, but just can't get it past at that point. Great effort though. Willie is coming out next with 270 on the bar.
Bar is ready.
Oh, just a little too heavy on the day. Finishing with a 590 total there.
Right. So we are going above that 700-pound mark by quite a bit. So the last one was not a struggle, but it was a more challenging lift for Jose.
I'm gonna be interested to see if he misses it on strength or if that lockout comes to bite him.
I think it's a good chance he makes it, to be honest. He's been a great lifter so far today. I think
He has. He's 8 for 8 going into this.
absolutely, and he's putting up a huge performance. But this is a
The
massive.
crowd is getting hype. He is getting hype. If he hits this, this will give him a 727.5 kilo total before heading into the nighttime session. Up. Come on. Oh.
Just a bit too heavy there.
Great effort on the day, Jose. You still crushed this meet. Over a 700 kilo total. Phenomenal job, and it's definitely not going to make it easy for any of the guys competing this evening to beat you. Alex is coming out for our first attempts of the second flight in this morning session. 145 is on the bar.
Now, I spoke with Alex during the intermission. This is his first meet. He's been enjoying himself so far. Hit, I believe, a 15-pound squat PR, so that's pretty cool to see. However, with deadlift, he's had some more difficulties training recently due to a couple of injuries with injury setbacks. So he's not quite sure what to expect today, but we're hoping he's going to have a good day out of this.
Alexander the Great.
That one looked good.
Absolutely. Just looking for those expressions as he comes off, making sure that there's no discomfort there. It's one of those things you don't want to see from a lifter, is any sort of visual discomfort. No, that looks nice. Looks like a tidy deadlift.
Nicholas is up next with a 187.5 kilo deadlift. This is going to be 413 pounds.
Bar is ready for Nicholas Martinez. 187.5 kilos.
Looks good to me. The judges agree. 3 white lights.
Nice.
All right, Paul is coming out here, 187.5 on the bar. As I had said, I talked to him in the back. He seemed to be in pretty good spirits after bombing out on the bench. I wish him the best of luck here on Deads.
Electing to use knee sleeves on the deadlift here. Not
Lift
something.
is good.
Yeah, not something you see a huge amount of.
Now, when you wear knee sleeves, your socks are not allowed to touch your knee sleeves. Whereas if you aren't wearing knee sleeves, you need knee-high socks, as Cameron is wearing now. He's coming up to the bar to take 190 kilos. Speedy opener. That gets 3 white lights. Maxwell's coming out next. 200 kilos is on the bar for him. Speedy until the top. Got a little locked on his upper thigh there. But overall, a pretty good lift. Just a little sticky. Speed was fine throughout. Andrew is coming out now, 215 kilos on the bar. Every lift from him has been fast today, so I wouldn't expect anything different here. Speedy attempt. Lift is good.
Yeah, that looked really nice.
Ted is coming out now, 220 on the bar.
484 pounds, I believe.
Getting locked in. Headphones on. And the Ted crowd is giving him the hype they've been giving him all day. Speedy opener.
Plenty of room to move up there. Nice execution.
Jordy will be attempting 235.
Be interesting to see that from the side angle. See what the judges say.
Okay, so
One referee thinks the deadlift was not complete. Let's have a look at this from the side.
okay, I can.
It's hard to see. I think the referees liked from the other side, the angle we
Yes.
just looked at. So hard to see what they were seeing themselves. I could see from the front it looked a little on the line, but a good lift.
Yes. Sam Cohen is coming out now for a 240 kilo opener.
Bars ready, Sam Coe.
That's easy as. There was no issue there.
None.
That's when I feel like if it were me, I'd be thinking deadlifts are on. This is good. Load the bar.
Giuliano's coming out for 270 kilos.
I spoke to Giuliano as well during the break. I was doing the rounds.
Yes.
And
yes.
he's done a push-pull meet before, but this is his first time doing a full power meet before. And he seems to be really enjoying it. His coach or handler was telling me they really haven't found his limits yet. And, yep.
Yeah, no, they have not. They have definitely not.
That's really strong.
And, I mean, just looking at him, he is a jacked dude. If this is his first meet, he's got a lot of potential.
It's almost like a weightlifter, like hang pull there.
Yes.
High pull.
I'm going to be interested. I'm going to talk to him after this session and see if he has any experience in weightlifting, CrossFit, something like that, because that was very snappy, if you will. Alexander coming out for a 160 kilo attempt.
Bars ready, Alexander the Great.
Another speedy attempt there for Alexander.
And no signs of that discomfort I was worried about after he told me that he's coming back now from a period of not having been able to deadlift for, I believe he said 6 weeks. That's looking good. That's looking solid.
Nicholas will be next. 200 kilos on the bar. 12.5 kilo jump.
When we get to the final pose, they'll hear just what they want. We're on second attempts now. Bars ready for Nicholas.
Checking how much time he has left, and quite a bit of it.
Three white lights there for Nick.
Bars ready.
Paul is going to attempt 200 kilos as well.
Yes, Paul.
Three white lights for Paul.
Little celebration from him as well.
Great job on the pull, and great job staying with the pull after his bench press.
463 bars ready.
Cameron's taking 210 kilos here for his second attempt. It's a 20 kilo jump. Lift is good. Three red lights. Looked good. Maxwell's coming up next. 217.5 kilos. 17.5 kilo jump. If he hits this, he'll go down to 31st in the rankings. He's currently at 35th.
These spotters and loaders working really quickly as Maxwell gets his good lift there. We've been moving so fast. We started lifting at 9 today. It's not even noon, and we are now looking to be halfway through the second attempts of our final deadlifters.
Yeah, that is incredible. That speaks to the spotters and loaders, the referees, and everyone else involved, making this process run very smoothly. Props to everyone involved. And also, I want to give a shout out to all those great sponsors on the bottom of the banner there. They all helped out in certain ways with providing certain aspects of this meet for the lifters. So thank you to all those sponsors on the bottom of the banner there. 3 white lights there for Andrew. Ted coming out next for a 232.5 kilo attempt, 12 kilos up from his last.
Bars ready for Teddy.
Looks like a good lift to me. The judges agree. 3 white lights. Jordy coming out next, 242.5, 7.5 kilo jump.
Bars ready, Jordy. 242.5 kilos.
Lift is good. 3 white lights. Sam Cohen's coming out next, 252.5 on the bar.
Sam's currently sat in that top 10 on the forecast, or in the current standings, and could move into 9th with this lift. A lot of these men looking to put up as a bigger total as they can now to defend against the men who will go last and have that tactical advantage of knowing what to hit when we come to the afternoon session at 4 p.m. Still plenty of room there.
Speedy.
12.5 kilo jump, but
I think he's got another 12.5, maybe even 15 in there.
yeah, I'd agree.
That was really good.
Yeah, that looks like an opener to me.
Yeah. Giuliano coming out next, 285 on the bar. This will be over 600 pounds.
Loading that bar up, you see the weight on there.
Three white lights, definitely more challenging than the first lift, but still a good lift. And I think he's still got a little more in the tank, 5 to 7.5 kilos probably. Paul Hammershaw is taking a 2.5 kilo jump to 202.5.
And that brings us to the start of the final round of deadlifts for the morning.
Bars ready. For Hammerstone.
Again, this is the start of the third round of the final morning deadlifts. When it ends, we will have about 4 hours because of how fast the meet has been moving. before getting into our afternoon session. Paul unfortunately missed that lift there, just did not have the strength for it today, but great job overall. Nicholas coming out for 210 for his third and final attempt deadlift. It will put his total, if he gets it, at 517.5. He's currently at 507.5.
I think you mean 510. Oh, no, you're absolutely right. I cannot add up today. I don't know what's going on with me. I question myself now. I apologize. Yeah, 10-kilo jump here. See if he makes this one. It's looking good. To lock out. Yeah, nicely secured.
Great way to end out the day.
Look at that nice fight.
Awesome job.
Nicely selected attempt there.
Cameron DiCarlo coming out for 215. Has hit all of his deadlifts so far.
Bars ready for Cameron.
Definitely a fight, but it looked good. Good, 2-1. Maxwell coming out next. He's got 232.5 on the bar.
Bars ready for Maxwell. Chrissy. His first one, right?
Ooh.
Got a little stuck there.
I'm gonna be interested to see what they say. It's always interesting when you see that stickiness. Don't know if it's an up and down or not.
Well, unfortunately, that was 3 blues. All 3 referees
Yeah.
saw it. The bar does go
It
down
does.
there.
Yeah, seeing it from the side, you definitely see that motion. So good call by the refs. Unfortunate attempt, but good call.
This is Teddy's first powerlifting competition.
Ted is coming to the platform to finish out his first powerlifting meet ever. 240 kilos on the bar.
No longer a virgin powerlifter. Bars ready.
If he gets this, he will go over 600 for his total.
Next is ready. Come on, Teddy, right off the floor. You're a pro now.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it. Come on. Yeah. All right, that counts. 2-1. Was it a blue card?
It was indeed a blue card for some downward motion. I don't see that.
I didn't either.
I don't think it was supporting on the thighs either. But again, that would have been from the other side than we saw. But nonetheless, finishes out the day with a great lift.
Yes. 245 on the bar for Jordy to finish out his day. A 2.5 kilo jump from his last attempt, which he did get.
Bars ready.
Finish it, come on. Get up, get up, get up. Gonna be interested to see. 3 white lights. Let's look at it from the side. Obviously, with one that moves, you're looking for a hitch there at the top. But honestly, looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it looks clean. Nice to see. So we've got, I believe, 3 more lifts left this morning.
Andrew is the first of those 3, taking 245 as well. Getting this will give him a 575 kilo total. Oh, and he's got that with some ease.
That's a comfortable one.
3 white lights.
That should give him some confidence for next time. For that next time that he comes and competes, that there may be a little bit more there.
All right, up next we got Sam coming out for 262.5.
And again, as we've talked about, right now he stands in 9th among all the men who've lifted so far. This would pull him into 7th and solidify his position a little bit more ahead of the afternoon session at 4 p.m. when the other men will know what they have to beat to get past him in 7th if successful here.
Up, 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 up. Ah.
Unfortunately, he'll stay in 9th position, but a really valiant effort there.
690 kilo total to end out the day for Sam. All right, our final lifter of the day is attempting a very special weight to our announcer. I'm going to let him take it away. You can hear him. That's right, 302.5. 666 is on the bar for Giuliano to finish out the day. Gino is hype. The crowd is hype. He is hype. Let's see it.
As we said, this is Giuliano's first full power meet, so a really important special way to close this out. Crowd's behind him.
666. Gino's favorite number to call. The clip is not on completely. They're fixing that. Oh, nope. There was a misload. There was a misload. They're fixing it.
Missing a silver.
He's going. Oh, up, 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 up. Keep going.
Real fight there, but unfortunately, no lift, but he really gave that a good go.
Great effort on the day, Giuliano, and great effort from all of our morning lifters today. You all did a phenomenal job.
Great. And so that ends out that session, and we will see you this afternoon at 4 p.m. Thanks for joining us, and see you then.